Hey, what's up everybody, BDF 44 coming at you in another video. Alright, so I'm about a block away from the train station, but I think I'm starting to think what I'm about to talk about is probably going to take a little longer. Now, of course, first of all, I want to thank everybody for always coming to my channel, listening to what I have to say. Sometimes I have important things to say, sometimes I don't. I don't believe this is important in comparison. So for those who are expecting me to lend my voice to something important, I will, and I have. And I want you to check out all the videos where I did. But this is more about Drake and Kendrick and all that other stuff that's been going on since I threw myself into it so very much over the last 2 days. Like most people in the culture, I kind of just wanted to talk about, kind of unpack a few thoughts. First of all eyes on Rafah. Before we go any further, all eyes on Rafah. They're attacking the hell out of Rafah. Genocide needs to stop. Free Palestine. All right, first and foremost. But, okay, the Drake, the Heart 6. First of all, the Heart is a Kendrick Lamar series where he absolutely kills it. And to be very, very fair, Kendrick Lamar started that by taking Drake's 6 a.m. at whatever city he's in kind of situation and put it into a diss song. So he's copying Kendrick, and Kendrick started it by copying Drake. So let's put that out there. But he did take from the Heart series, which I think is really the series that made me start to appreciate Kendrick Lamar the most. That Heart series was very, very special. But Kendrick came out with the Heart 6, but the problem was he was only kind of defending himself in regards to certain allegations of assault that he was being accused of. Without getting too deep into it, Kendrick put into this rap song that he believes that man is a predator against minors and that kind of thing. So Kendrick put him up against the wall, and now Drake needed to respond to that. And at the end of the day, Drake's whole point of view was, hey, if I were a person who would do something like that, then I would have been arrested. And I don't think that went over too well. He said, you know, he didn't want to continue going forward with this beef or this battle because it seems that Kendrick Lamar was a victim of certain types of abuse that may have taken place domestically. Which, if you pay close enough attention to Kendrick's last album, he did kind of allude to certain circumstances that took place in his house. But he did, in fact, tell everybody that he was not a victim. He was just treated as if he was a victim because they had a predator in the family that was around the children who may have done something to someone else in his family, and he was very uncomfortable because his parents treated him as if he were a victim, and for a long time was uncomfortable with even bringing up the conversation. But he did tell the world that he was in fact not a victim. So that in and of itself is frustrating for a lot of Kendrick Lamar fans to listen to, because it seems as if Drake kind of wasn't paying attention to the lyrics of the song that this was addressed in, but wanted to bring it up to disrespect Kendrick Lamar, and as a result ended up disrespecting people who've gone through this, in a sense, to minimize the idea that a famous person would have already been arrested for those type of behaviors, which we know the complete opposite of what is actually prevalent in our society. Person who did what they did to me never got arrested for that. So, not to say I took exception to it, but it just spoke to Drake's ignorance in regards to the conversation, and to a lot of people it spoke to the possibility of him being guilty of accused words against him. So, first of all, I want to say that I don't expect people who haven't gone through these type of things to really know what is insensitive, to know the first thing about what is common in these situations, especially someone like Drake he's not coming from that world. Even if he's guilty of what he's accused of, he wasn't put through anything that would allow him to be sensitive enough to know what to say and what not to say, it seems, based on his lack of sensitivity as it pertains to knowing what to do in these situations, and who to talk to and how to talk to those people. If he would have talked to a few people ahead of time, for which he didn't really have time to do because he was rushed back into a rap beef, he would have known what was appropriate to say, gained some context as to how to address these conversations, and it wouldn't have been thrown into some frivolous rap song that, to be honest with you, he sounded like he was too tired to even make. Trying to adhere to the public pressure of responding to Kendrick as quickly as Kendrick responded to him, which did take some time. They put that pressure on Kendrick 2 weeks ago when that push-up song was released. But then Kendrick came out with like 3 songs in 3 days, or in like 48 hours, and now it's like, okay, you got to come back at him. The reality is, context given, Drake just got off tour, like a God know how many date tour, and the man's probably very exhausted, and with everybody running around screaming 3 different songs, including a smash West Coast banger that he's an assault predator. I'd imagine that he didn't give himself a whole lot of time to really think through what was said. I mean, he said some things that were just flat out contradictory in a way. I mean, on one hand, he said the people who released the information that Kendrick ran with were clowns, and on the other hand, he went off and said that it was his people who did it. I mean, that's a tired person's decision to make that what they put in a song. I just felt like he rushed it. He didn't give it much thought. He didn't talk to the people he should have talked to be sensitive to what should have been otherwise considered when you have a big voice like his and you're talking to people who may or may not have been victims of such things. You know, you got to. It just sounds really naive as about how to address this. He sounds stressed, and I think it became much bigger than rap, and his immaturity kind of bled through. His fatigue, I guess, is what I will say. And as I told you guys in a previous video, I don't look to Drake to really provide the most deep of subjects. I think he's extremely brilliant when it comes to certain things and certain areas, like we all are. We have strengths and weaknesses. And when it comes to spiritual stuff that's really, really deep and really, really intellectually complex, I don't look to Drake to really help me with that. I used to say the same thing about Jay-Z, and then Jay-Z grew up. And I think the same goes for Drake. He's just going to grow up, you know what I mean? But while he's in his mid-30s, I'm not looking to him for spiritual guidance or a moral compass or nothing like that. So when he makes these type of mistakes, I kind of just like, yeah, man, that's what he's going to do. And I just run with that understanding that he just got a lot of growing up to do, just like everybody else his age, in their own way. But it's unfortunate for him because he's trying to win this rap battle, and it went from being a rap battle to him having to defend his character, and everybody screaming he's an assault predator, more or less. And it's like, that's a tough spot to be in when you, in anybody's circumstance, but when you're as famous as he is, got a lot to protect against, got a bunch of people coming at you, you know, for which they are all different types of people teamed up against the guy. I give him a credit for just responding to all of that, but he really needed not be so frivolous about how he addressed that specific topic. And I think that Kendrick put him in a very uncomfortable position by making that the centerpiece of what he wants to talk about to get to this guy. But at the same time, Drake got to respect that it is a lot of evidence out there and a lot of hearsay out there as well of him being attracted to much younger women, if not girls. So when people go off and say, yo, you a predator, or we believe you a predator, he got to understand how much of that fire he's fueled over the years, and how much of that fire his team is fueled by allowing him to be around certain circles where certain things took place, and people can use this as, against him. And he needs to understand that. Now, there's one thing that I felt I understood that I didn't think many of the masses got, and that's when he mentioned Millie Bobby Brown. That was a play on Bobby and Whitney. Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown. Whitney being Kendrick's wife that he had already mentioned a million times, so we already knew what he was referring to. But that was why he was able to mention Millie Bobby Brown's name. Even though Kendrick didn't mention her. People were like, yo, why did he mention anything about Millie Bobby Brown when Kendrick didn't? See, and it's like because her name is Bobby Brown and Whitney, and that kind of goes together. So I just think that the music was delivered to the masses a little too fast for them to truly digest it, but they wanted to, as we often do in a microwave era, comment and act as if we fully comprehend and have absorbed it just because we listen to something 3 times in 3 hours. We think we know everything that there is to know about the song. It's just not real, man. So I think a lot of people are making that mistake on Twitter and etc. But nevertheless, he brought it up as a play on words. I thought it was clever. And given the fact that he had been accused of sleeping with this young girl, I don't know how old she is, but she's younger than him. I thought it was a clever rhyme to put in there. I thought it made sense. Man, I wasn't questioning why he did it. So, yeah, man, I thought that's where I separated myself from a lot of people that I saw commenting on that. It's like, why didn't y'all get that? But anyway, all in all, I just think that Drake is going to mature a lot from this situation. He's going to mature a lot. He lost the battle. Ain't no question about that. It's a lot of people who are saying otherwise. But it's not even close. I'm not going to lie to you, man. As someone who both is a musical mind and someone who writes poetry and does lyricism himself, I can tell you he lost that battle. It's a lot of people who are not inclined that way, so they're going to be like, oh, well, the beats were better over here. Yeah, but he got killed in terms of, quote-unquote, the tea that was dropped on him, whether it was true or not. People ran with it, now he has to react to it, and that made him uncomfortable and put you in a losing position. The fact that he has now 4 songs to his 2 songs, so in numbers, in that regard, he's been outdone. Kendrick's the series of songs actually got more views sooner. So he lost in that area as well. So it's like, for those who saying he won, he didn't win in any of the key areas that really matter at all. Even though I thought his songs were pretty good. I thought the Heart 6 was a tired song that should not have been made. And if he wouldn't have made that song, or if he would have taken some time, he would have been proud of himself more so of that song than what he is. It's my opinion. I think the people he pays to big him up and support him tried their best. I think Academics tried his best to follow Drake, but it gets to a point where you end up compromising yourself when you lie that in a way that everybody can clearly see, especially when Kendrick already pointed out that Academics appears compromised. So that right there put Academics in a difficult position to do his part in keeping this looking as if Drake is winning. So I think that's a difficult position to put your guy in. When you're asking him to big you up when you're losing a rap battle and continue to pretend like he's feeling your music more so than the other guy because of his fandom of you, or however it's supposed to be painted out to us. The guy's losing, man. It's just like I feel about my Lakers when you're going up against Denver. Denver's just better, man. There ain't no way around it. We can point out why, but just because I'm a Laker fan don't mean I got to sit up here and act like something took place that didn't take place. My biases should not get in the way of what my eyes see. And sometimes in situations where the political aspect of things get in the way, a guy I pay to make me look good has to sit up here and act like something is dope when it's not. It gets to a point where the credibility of that person ends up deteriorating by the second, or their lack of passion for what it is that they're paying attention to ends up bleeding through the cap, so to speak. And that's what was going on with Academics. And at some point in time, it was like, even Academics had to say, I was spending the night before the Heart 6 was dropped, thinking about the song that was dropped and just feeling like it was all bad for his guy. Like, that's more of the stance that we would expect you to take rather than pretend something is dope when you don't believe in it. But that's neither here nor there. Point is, it wasn't dope. Some of what Drake was trying to do didn't land. Many thought that the Heart 6 and some of the points he brought up made him look more guilty, less sensitive to the problems that were addressed. I think Drake just handled it all wrong, man. When Kendrick's song came out calling him a predator, he came out and addressed the idea that he didn't have a daughter and not those accusations, which, if you're being honest, probably makes more sense to a lawyer. But in this court of public opinion, which this is in, you need to address that so that we understand where your priorities are as it pertains to what you consider most important. And as it pertains to you hiding a child versus you being abusive to them, I think the abusive aspect would probably be more important to the people that buy your music and the people who are paying attention to this battle. So I just think he destroyed his PR in this situation. He really hurt himself with that. So, yeah, that's my point of view. I think that Drake should not have rushed back. No different than Kendrick is happy he didn't rush back. He took his time, made good music, as well as songs that he thought would win the battle, and as a result, he's winning the battle. When you rush, and you're tired, and you're stressed, and you're fatigued, and you don't know the first thing about what it is that you're addressing, it just leaves you further being beat in the battle, let alone everything else that comes with that. Now, Kendrick may be getting sued. I expect lawsuits to be coming from Drake's side of the fence, because Drake did allude to something in one of his songs about all that money you spending on such and such and such and such. He's something along the lines of all the money that you're spending on promotion and all of that, you're going to need that a little later. That tells me that Kendrick may be ready to he may be needing to lawyer up for God knows what defamation type lawsuits could be coming. I think an important point of this is in Heart 6, Drake mentioned that he fed Kendrick's people information that wasn't true. But the problem is that the people are looking for proof. All this evidence that's been going back and forth is in regards to proof. You provided Kendrick fake evidence, but you can't provide real evidence that you gave him fake evidence. People aren't buying it. People are not buying. And as I told you guys, it's hard to buy that when you see a person as intelligent as Kendrick Lamar is. Take 2 weeks off to figure out what all of this is, but not double check to make sure that the information given to him is valid. That just doesn't seem like a mistake a person would make in this situation, in this series of calculated events. You're gonna forget to double check what it is that you've been given? That don't make no sense. And that's essentially the position that Drake is taking. It's like, yo, we fed him bad information and he jumped ahead of it. Look how silly he is, oops. Dummy. You didn't double check what was given to you. And it's like, that's a hard sell to the public, even if it's true, because you got to be able to back up those claims. Or otherwise, it's just his word against you, and he's the one coming out with evidence on top of all of the other visual stuff that people have seen that lead them to believe what Kendrick is saying is true. You got to come up with something. You got to give us an email or something where you fed somebody some information that ultimately landed in Kendrick's laps that he didn't ultimately vet properly or what have you. If you want him to look like a fool, you better bring some evidence, because he's certainly bringing evidence to us, whether it's fake evidence or not. This is a game of evidence. And according to you, it's because of you that is a game of evidence. Because if you didn't feed him what he otherwise wouldn't have it. So if that's the case, where's the evidence of you doing that? And that's what the internet is basically saying to Drake. Like, bro, we're not buying this. We believe what Kendrick said. And not only do we believe it, but these songs aren't that good. Like, that's what people are kind of saying to the man. And I think the song's okay. How you doing? I think the song's okay. I don't think the Heart 6 was a particularly bad song. I definitely like Push-Ups. I thought that I didn't get a real good time, a chance to digest Family Matters, just like most of the world didn't, because Kendrick dropped so much fire right after that I only got a chance to listen to Family Matters about 3 or 4 times. As to where I was able to dissect all of Kendrick's music, played it more, and enjoyed it more upon first listen. So it's difficult. It's difficult for Drake right now, man. And the key to all of this, besides the obvious nature of what has been said about him, is how exhausted the man is. Coming off a tour, being hit with a barrage of people disrespecting him, and then from there trying to smear his character from different directions. You can clearly see this is a bigger thing to tear down his character as a person. It ain't just a rap battle. These are multiple people coming at him, trying to make all of us look at him as something less valuable than he is in the marketplace of music. And that, I'm not lost upon. I don't know how many people are thinking that way, but it'll be interesting to see what his numbers are for his next album. And the fact that he's been on top for so long, having a run like this for this long, tells me that there's probably some more to look at in regards to who wants to tear him down and why right now. And I said, his music started to slip. The public opinion about him started to slip with the last 3 albums. I didn't think they hit as hard. And so it stands to reason why there would be some grand teardown, which they can provide a lot of information, not information, but a lot of attention on tearing him down rather than him just fading to black. As an artist this big, a scandal or something would otherwise tear him down so that he can benefit off of his teardown. And I just think that that's part of what we're looking at here, especially when you consider that both artists are under the same umbrella. Not the same record company, but under the same parent companies, both record companies. So it's like, I don't know, man. I just think that if you're a Drake fan, you got to understand that your guy is under attack. He's most definitely under attack. And it ain't just rap that they're trying to tear down. They're trying to tear down his entire image and possibly get him thrown in prison. And, it's frustrating, I guess, if you're a Drake fan, if you're a Kendrick fan, you're championing your guy, but this is so much more serious than a rap battle, man. Just like I felt about Pac and Big when they were talking about whatever they were talking about back in the day, and it led to violence, however it did. This feels like something that's supposed to lead to something much horrible, much more horrible than just a couple guys not agreeing with one another on a rap battle. Got a couple guys gumming at each other's character. It seems a little deeper than that. So, I don't know, man. If I were Drake, I would lawyer up and prepare for the feds to come afterward. And if I were Kendrick, I'd lawyer up and prepare for defamation lawsuits that come afterward. I really think so. I think the feds are destined to come after Drake. There's too many allegations of a specific nature with too many people who are now singing those allegations in a hit song. It's just a matter of time before somebody's fed looks at that and says, yeah, man, I can, let's see if we can look into this guy, see if there's anything to find there. It's just destined to happen. It's obvious. And so that's why I'm like, yo, man, they're tearing down Diddy. They're trying to tear him down, and with the stuff that he's done, I think Drake is most definitely somebody they're paying attention to next. And if 3 years from now we're looking at a surviving Drake Drizzy, don't be surprised, because that's exactly what this looked like to me, the beginning stages of something like that. And I think with Kendrick, it's just, I don't know how to look at that. If Kendrick is really somebody who's passionate about tearing down predators, then I'm definitely all for that. As somebody who's been through what I've been through, clearly want that. But I just don't want to see another one of my people used to tear down another black person. I almost liken it to what I see in regards to the denial of ceasefire, when they're always using a black person to basically give the bad news about what they've decided. It's one of us, like, here we go, no, we're not gonna vote against this, no, we're not gonna support that. It's always a black face they throw up there to do their dirty work, and it's like, this doesn't feel a whole lot different to me. Just another facet of that. It's what it feels like. And I just think that Kendrick Lamar, to be used like that, if that's what's happening here, he's better than that. He's too talented to be used to do something like that. And I just see that angle, and I ain't heard too many people talk about that angle. So it's a little disappointing, however you slice it, in my opinion. But all in all, it's a grand distraction, because we definitely know what we should be talking about, which is what I just alluded to. That's happening. Children are dying, etc. All eyes on Rafa, man. And I think that's ultimately what this generation is being told to look away from, or forced into looking away from, for just a time, while they bomb the hell out of these children that are all displaced permanently from where they came from in various different parts of Palestine. So it's frustrating how this is being painted. It's frustrating that I gotta make that part of the conversation when we're talking about these type of things. But if I didn't think they were directly connected, I wouldn't talk about it as it pertains to both of these conversations being together. But it should be. While we're paying attention to this, that's what's happening. And so people need to understand that, man. They need to understand that. You can focus on whatever you want to celebrate, but don't lose sight of what your attention should be on. It's always a grand distraction. It's always some grand grandiose lie that's being told to you about why we're doing certain things and why we should be supporting certain people and certain things and like that. It's always something. And in this case, I just feel like my entire generation is being told, hey, pay attention to a rap battle while we bomb these people over here who can't even feed themselves. Yeah, all right, I get it. But nevertheless, man, if you take anything from me besides don't be distracted, don't be used. Don't be used. If you're a person of color and you're being told or coerced into tearing somebody down, don't think we don't see that. Don't think we don't see that. And you're being told to, hey, yo, we got some information on this dude. Let's put it in the rap battle. Like, we're going to tear him down. Don't think that there ain't going to be people like myself who paying attention to that. We're definitely paying attention to that. And for somebody like Kendrick Lamar to be used that way, for which I feel this is, it's nasty work, man. Dirty game, bro. You better than that. Your talent should be used to do something else. Not just point out this dude's transgressions and his evil ways. There are bigger fish to fry, as I said in my last video. There are other things going on that need your attention and need your articulation. And so that's what frustrates me about all of this, is just knowing how talented of a mind that is and how low of a frequency this is that we're talking about. Granted, pointing out people who are doing these type of things is not a low frequency that needs to be done. People are hurting kids, all different types of stuff. And so we need to point out all of that. But at the same time, it's like, if you're gonna have evidence, bring forth that evidence. If you're not gonna have evidence, then you probably are dabbling in something that ain't as important as something else you should be focused on. And that's my whole point of view with this Kendrick Lamar Drake thing, man. If you don't know that he has a daughter, if you don't know that he's doing all this and that, predator-wise, then chances are, brother, you are roped in one way or another into a grand attention grabber. And with everything that's going on in this world, everything that you could be pointing your talent and attention toward, this ain't that important. It ain't. It's just not that important. So that's my frustration, man. These two geniuses of an artist to be focused on such low frequency nonsense, such minimalized type nonsense, unless you're gonna find that this dude's been really doing all of these things. As to which he ain't the only one to point out and expose, if that's the case. But you know, that's what I have to say, man. We all gotta grow up, man. We all gotta grow up. Everybody gotta grow on their own time. And I just think both of those individuals, they start prioritizing things above their attention and above the craft of rap. There's more to what you both could be doing with your fame that could change the world for the better than just focusing on one another and trying to tear each other down for whatever messed up stuff that you may have done in your lives, man. There's bigger things you can do with your attention. There's bigger things to do with your voices. And if Drake really wants to win this battle, he'll turn his attention to something like that and start talking about that. If he really want to take the heat off of his backside, he'll start turning his attention to those type of conversations. But people are too afraid to do that, man. They're too muffled to do that, too compromised to do that, too selfish in what it is they're trying to accomplish in their own lives to give a damn about people that, quite honestly, they don't know. And that's exactly what's wrong with this world right now. So that's what I got to say, man. I expect more. And I get it. I get it. Kendrick alluded to the word colonizer. Okay, I understand. Can you elaborate a little more? Because that is a real topic on this earth right now. I get it. That was the hint that you're paying attention to that. I dig it. I understand. But there needs to be more. You need to be mentioning more, man. Somehow you need to be making something centered around that be alluded to with your art, man. Because I'm telling you, you get 6 million people to pay attention to what you're saying in a matter of an hour. Do you know how much influence you actually have while you're trying to talk about this dude? Let's just be honest. You realize how fast you can make something happen when you can get 6 million people to focus on you in a matter of an hour? And that ain't just Drake and Kendrick. That's anybody. That's all these influencers. Do you have any idea what your voice can do? How much power you actually have? People will vote for you for president if you really want them to. While y'all sitting up here meddling around these low frequency conversations that record companies and big wigs who can't even make 3 people pay attention to them You understand what I'm saying? The power is in you. They can throw their money at you and you draw the attention. They don't have that power without you. So it's like if you want to use your independence to garner attention for things that truly matter, you're going to be effective in doing that quicker than they can stop you. While y'all focused on so much that doesn't matter. So I hope somebody gets this message to Kendrick and Drake. Get that message to them. They can do a lot more with their voices. And if they're really serious about aging well, then they'll snap out of this stupid low frequency beef and they start talking about what's going on with that genocide, man. It's pretty much what I got to say. My name is BDF 44, all eyes on Rafa, and I'm out.